أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. We thank the Almighty Allah for giving us another opportunity to be back. We thank the Almighty Allah for blessing us, with good health and then the opportunity to be in the month of Ramadan. Yesterday, we spoke mainly about al-isti'adha, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and then we spoke about the virtues of, seeking refuge from the Almighty Allah against the evils, whether physical or spiritual evils. Today, inshallah, we're going to look at just one or two important virtues of A'udhu Billah, and then we continue. Yesterday, there was a question concerning, when you say A'udhu Billah, how potent those words are. If you go into Surah to Yusuf, verse 23, the Almighty Allah said, وَرَاوَدَتُ الَّتِي
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Now,
وراودته التي هو في بيتها عن نفسه وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك قال معاذ الله إنه ربي أحسن مثواي.
فاستبق الباب. So the story here is about Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam when he was in the house of the king or the minister, and then the wife of the minister sought him to do something wrong, and then in the end قال معاذ الله, he says, I seek refuge from the Almighty Allah. And what happened? The scholars of tafsir are saying that the lady closed 7 doors, 7 inner doors. So it's like an inner chamber with an inner chamber with an inner chamber, 7 of that. So she closed all those doors because it's a young man, very beautiful. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said that Yusuf alone was given 50% of beauty. So he was very handsome and a young boy, and he was in her house. So she was, she was seduced naturally by his beauty. So she wanted him to have something to do with her that is not allowed in Islam. So she closed a door after door after a door, 7 different doors. In the final room, she tried all her ways to seduce the young man, and he refused. She told him, Ma ajmala sha'araka ya Yusuf. Yusuf, you have beautiful hair. And then he told her, when I die, that is the first thing that is going to get off my body after my body has started rotting. She said, Ma ajmala aynaik. Yusuf, you have beautiful eyes. He told her, Huma awwalu ma yasilu minni ba'd al-maut. These 2 eyes are going to just drain out of my body when I die. She said, Ma ajmala jismaka ya Yusuf. Yusuf, you have very nice and smooth skin. He said, worms are going to eat this body when I die. Trying all her ways to, seduce the guy, he said no. And then he told her that you have, and then she had an idol in the room there where she worships the idol. She took, a blanket and then placed it on top of the idol. And then Yusuf asked her, why are you covering the idol? And she said, I'm shy that my idol that I'm worshipping is seeing me seduce you in the bedroom of my husband. And then he told her, أَتَسْتَحِينَ مِنْ صَنَمٍ لَا يَسْمَعْ وَلَا يُبْصِرْ وَلَا يُغْنِي عَنْكِ شَيْئًا وَلَا تَسْتَحِينَ مِنَ اللَّهِ السَّمِيعِ الْبَصِيرِ. You are shy of an idol, but you are not shy of the Almighty Allah. To cut a long story short, she wanted to force herself upon him. He said, Ma'adh Allah, I seek refuge from the Almighty Allah. And how did the Almighty Allah help him? Those 7 doors all of a sudden sprung open, and then he escaped. So, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim is both potent for physical and even spiritual situations. Today we are going to look at Surah Al-Fatiha. And Surah Al-Fatiha has a lot of names. And Surah Al-Fatiha has a lot of virtues. The increasing number of names of Surah Al-Fatiha depicts to us the importance and the significance of Surah Al-Fatiha. Imam Muslim narrates a hadith, and same way Imam Al-Nasa'i, a hadith from Abdullah ibn Abbas, where he said, one day we were sitting with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Jibril had come to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jibril from time to time comes to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the appearance of a human being. And sometimes the Sahaba see him. And then there was a sound. And Jibril raised his, head to the skies. And then he said, this sound is of a door that has been opened, that has never been opened before in Jannah. نزل منه ملك فأتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. When that door was opened, an angel descended from heaven to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the angel told the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Abshir bi nuraini utitahuma lam yuktahuma nabiyyun qablak." I'm giving you a glad tiding of two lights that no prophet has ever been given this before you. Fatihatul Kitab wa khawatimu Surat al-Baqarah. Fatiha, and then the last two verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. Lam taqra harfan minha illa u'tita. Anytime you read one harf, one letter of Surah Al-Fatiha, you are given a light. Anytime you read one letter of the last two verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, you are given a light. So Fatiha is also a name of Surah Al-Fatiha. It's very clear here. There is the hadith of Muslim of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man salla salatan lam yaqra fiha bi fatihatil kitab fahiya khidaj yaquluha thalathan." That anybody who prays and then he doesn't read Fatiha, then that prayer is a deformed prayer. The Arabs, when they say khidaj, they use it for a camel that has given birth to a deformed offspring. So anytime someone prays and then he doesn't read Surah Al-Fatiha, then that prayer is a deformed prayer. We'll come later and then we speak about the fiqh issues of reading Surah Al-Fatiha in Salah, what is the ruling and stuff like that. But we are just looking at the names that Surah Al-Fatiha has. It's also called Ummul Kitab, the mother of the book. Imam Al-Nasa'i and Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi have reported hadith from Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ummul Kitab, Ummul Quran, wa Ummul Kitab, was Sab'ul Mathani." That Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Fatiha is also called Ummul Quran, the mother of the Quran, wa Ummul Kitab, the mother of the book, was Sab'ul Mathani, the seven that is repeated. 7 verses repeated. Why? Because we repeat them all the time in our salah. That is why the name is As-Sab'ul Mathani. Imam Bukhari and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and Imam Ibn Majah and Imam Al-Nasa'i narrate a hadith from Abi Sa'id ibn al-Mu'alla that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told him, لَوْ عَلِّمَنَّكَ أَعْظَمَ سُورَةٍ فِي الْقُرْآنِ قَبْلَ أَن تَخْرُجَ مِنَ الْمَسْجِدِ. I'm going to teach you the greatest surah in the Quran today before you leave the masjid. قال فأخذ بيدي, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam held my hand. فلما أراد أن يخرج من المسجد, when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to leave the masjid, قلت, I said, يا رسول الله, O Prophet of Allah, إنك قلت لو علمنك أعظم سورة في القرآن. يا رسول الله, you said you are going to teach me the greatest of the surah in the Quran. قال نعم الحمد لله رب العالمين هي السبع المثاني والقرآن العظيم الذي أوتيت. So Fatiha is called Sab'ul Mathani, the 7 that repeats itself, and it's also the greatest surah in the Quran. No surah has the likeness of Fatiha in the Quran. Another name of Surah Al-Fatiha is Surah Al-Ruqya. Is the surah of what? Of Ruqya. And Ruqya means seeking, health or cure from both physical and spiritual illness. Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim narrate for us a hadith from Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, where he said, Kunna fi masir lana. We were in a travel, and then we got to a village where we wanted them to give us, to host us or give us lodging. The people in the village refused to give us any lodging. And then we found a place where we camped. After some time, someone came to us and then they said, the chief of the village has been stung by a scorpion. Do you have a healer amongst you? Do you have someone who has medicine to heal our chief? And then one man amongst them got up. And Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, this man, we never knew that he has any healing powers. But he went and then he did what he could do, and then the chief of the village was healed. And then they were given 30 goats as a reward for healing the chief of the village. And then they asked him, what did you do? He said, I read Fatiha on the man. That's it. That's all I did. I only read Fatiha. And the Sahaba said, wait, let's not discuss this issue further until we go and meet the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When they met the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ma kana yudrihi annaha ruqya." How did he know that Fatiha is a source of what? A source of ruqya. Iqsimu wadribu liya bisaham. Distribute the goats that you had as a reward for doing, that ruqya, and then give me the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a share of these goods. So Surah Al-Fatiha is a very, very powerful and very potent way of seeking health. As I said yesterday, it doesn't mean you don't go to the hospital. You go to the hospital, you get your medication, and then you also read Fatiha, either in water and drink, or you read it upon yourself all the time. It's ruqya. Try this. And especially for young ones who are not yet at the age of puberty, have that constant way of reading all these incantations to protect them. Ayatul Kursi is very, very potent. Qul huwa Allahu birabbil falaq birabbil nas. All these verses are very, very potent, and Surah Al-Fatiha is also very, very potent. Let's not, belittle the power of Surah Al-Fatiha. These are some of the names of Surah Al-Fatiha, and there are more. But then, what are the virtues of Surah Al-Fatiha? We saw earlier on that the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Mu'alla, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said he's going to teach him the greatest surah in the Quran. So Fatiha, part of the virtues of Fatiha is that it is the greatest surah in the Quran. The second virtue of Fatiha is that there is no surah in the Quran or any other revealed book that is in the like of Fatiha. There is the hadith of Ubay ibn Ka'b, narrated by Imam Ahmad and Imam al-Tirmidhi, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Ubay ibn Ka'b, "Atuhibbu an u'allimaka suratan lam yunzal fi at-Tawrat wala fi al-Injil wala fi az-Zabur wala fi al-Furqan mithla thumma akhbarahu annaha al-Fatiha." That, oh Ubay, do you want me, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to teach you a surah that has not been revealed of its like in the Torah or in the Gospels or in the Zabur, in the Psalms, or even in the Quran? And then he told him Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha is also a light, as we already saw in the previous hadith. And then the next one is Surah Al-Fatiha is also a ruqya, a form of healing for us. So these are some of the virtues of Surah Al-Fatiha. When was Surah Al-Fatiha revealed? Majority of Mufassirin, scholars of Tafsir, are saying Surah Al-Fatiha was revealed in Mecca. Majority of them, and this is the strongest opinion, that Surah Al-Fatiha was revealed in Mecca. Some opinions say that Surah Al-Fatiha was revealed in Medina. This is, an opinion by Mujahid, one of the students of Abdullah ibn Abbas, even though that, position is a very weak position. And some people also say that Surah Al-Fatiha was revealed twice, first in Mecca and then later in Medina, even though that also is questionable. But then the strongest opinion is that Surah Al-Fatiha was revealed in Mecca. How many verses does Surah Al-Fatiha have? The scholars have agreed unanimously that Surah Al-Fatiha has 7 verses. But then there's a difference of opinion concerning those verses. Sheikh, can you read Surah Al-Fatiha for us?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
نعم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين
Now,
الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
Ameen. These are the verses of Surah Al-Fatiha. 7 verses. But then there's a difference of opinion concerning Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Some of the scholars said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is a verse in Surah Al-Fatiha. Is the first one. Some of them said no, it is not a verse in Surah Al-Fatiha. It is just an introduction to Surah Al-Fatiha. Some of them said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is a verse in every chapter of the Quran except Surah At-Tawbah that does not begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Some of them said no, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it is not a verse in any of the surah. It is just an opening. It is just differentiates from one surah to another surah. I hope you get all these differences that the scholars are saying. So when we come back to the number of verses, those who say that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is a verse in Surah Al-Fatiha, they begin by counting Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. 1. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. 2. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. 3. Malik Yawmiddin. 4. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. 5. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. 6. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim ghayr al-maghdubi alayhim walad-dhalin. 7. For those who include Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Those who do not include Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim still say Fatiha is 7 verses. They start with Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. 1. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. 2. Malik Yawmiddin. 3. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. 4. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. 5. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. 6. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. 7. So either way that you go, either of the positions that you choose, Fatiha still has what? 7 verses. And these scholars that say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is not in Fatiha, those who say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is in Fatiha, they didn't just get up and say it. It's not just an opinion that they just got up and they felt like saying it. They have the evidences and then the reasons why they say that. Imam al-Qurtubi in his tafsir brings to us and gives us all these, narrations and all these evidences. For example, Imam al-Shafi'i, his position that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So for example, if you come to the masjid today, if you're going to pray, do you hear the imams bring out Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loudly? No, you don't hear them do that. So what's the ruling behind that? How did they come about that? And what are the evidences that they've put in place? So Imam al-Daraqutni narrates a hadith from Abi Bakr al-Hanafi it's a long chain, from Abi Huraira, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا قَرَأْتُمْ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ فَقْرَأُوا بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ إِنَّهَا الْقُرْآنِ وَأُمُّ الْكِتَابِ وَالسَّبْعُ الْمَثَانِي وَبِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ أَحَدُ آيَاتِهِ. So this first evidence tells us that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is a verse in what? In Surah Al-Fatiha. So those who say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is a verse in Surah Al-Fatiha, this is the hadith that they stand with, which is narrated by Imam al-Daraqutni. I hope you get it. So the second opinion, which is the position of Ibn Mubarak and even Imam Muslim, narrate this hadith from Anas ibn Malik, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to be one day with them, and then they had a sound, or the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, had a slumber where he slept a little bit. When he woke up, he raised his head smiling, and they said, "Ma adhakaka ya Rasulallah? What makes you smile, ya Rasulallah?" He said, "Nazalat alayya anifa." Right now, a verse or a surah has been revealed to me. فَقَرَأَ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ إِنَّا أَعْطَيْنَاكَ.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر
Now,
فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر.
this is evidence for those who say that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is a verse in every chapter. Because this verse, this surah, Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said when it was revealed, it came with what? It came with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. But then those who say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is not, a part of Fatiha, they use the hadith where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said that the Almighty Allah said, قَسَّمْتُ الصَّلَاةَ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ عَبْدِي. Is the hadith of Abu Hurairah found in Sahih Muslim, where the Almighty Allah is saying in a hadith al-Qudsi, قَسَمْتُ الصَّلَاةَ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ عَبْدِي نِصْفَيْنِ. The Almighty Allah said, I have distributed Fatiha between me and my servant. إِذَا قَالَ الْعَبْدُ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. When my servant says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, here he didn't say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The reason why we are doing all this academic work here, bringing all this hadith, so that you have an understanding that there are differences of opinion between scholars concerning reading Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim out loudly. So if you are in a masjid like Wasatiya where we don't read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim out loudly, it's not a problem. If you go to another masjid where the imam says Allahu Akbar, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, don't be furious with the imam. Don't create confusion. Don't say, no, this imam, what's wrong with him? No. It is a difference of opinion, a different school of thought. Now someone will ask a question. That's Sheikh, all these hadith that you are bringing, don't you think they are contradicting each other? One hadith says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim begins. One hadith says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim doesn't begin. I think Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani tried to bring all these statements together, but then the profound, or for me personally, the clear statement is that don't forget that the Quran was revealed in 7 different letters. Sab'at ahruf. So for example, Imam Nuh, when he's leading us Salah, you hear him say, Maliki Yawmiddin. Imam Qasim and myself, you hear us say, Maliki Yawmiddin. These are the different variations in which the Quran was revealed. So there is a variation that when the Almighty Allah was revealing the Quran or Fatiha with that variation came with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. But another variation came without what? Without Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think Imam al-Shatibi in Matn al-Shatibiyya, Al-Jazri spoke about all these, different narrations and how Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is what is found in them. So please, when you go to a masjid and the Imam reads Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loud, don't complain. And those, if you go to a masjid where the Imam doesn't read the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loud, don't complain too. But then, for us, especially those of us who follow the Maliki school of thought, Imam al-Qurtubi says that he supports not reading Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the Quran because the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that was revealed up to the time of Imam Malik. It was a tradition that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Anas bin Malik narrated that he didn't hear him read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loud, not Abu Bakr, not Umar, not Uthman, not Ali, up to the time of Imam Malik. And Imam Malik was born 93 Hijrah. The Prophet died after 84 years. That is when Imam Malik was born. So all these years, they were not reciting Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loudly in Salah. But then, as we said earlier on, this is just a difference of opinion between scholars, and that it is not something that the Muslim Ummah, we need to fight each other over, and then call each other names, and then, fight each other. It is not right. Sometimes, the differences of opinion we have in fiqh, it is not something that Muslims must fight over. No. I don't see the sense in that. It's just the differences of opinion in fiqh. But then when it comes to aqidah, there's no difference of opinion when it comes to aqidah. Allah is one. There's no difference of opinion there. The angels are there. There's no difference of opinion there. If someone says any statement contrary to what the Aqidah that the Prophet Muhammad taught us, and then we receive from the Sahaba, then that person is bringing something new in the deen that we must kick out. But then in fiqh, there's differences of opinion. And these differences of opinion, not all of them are the same in terms of, power of evidence. Some of them have stronger evidence than others. So as a student of knowledge, for us students of knowledge, anytime we come across differences of opinion, we try to weigh the evidences. Sometimes you find out that both evidences are strong. So the one that you choose is okay, you move along with it. Sometimes you found out that one evidence is stronger than the other. But then the other evidence, it is not a weak evidence. It's just that this one is stronger than it. So if someone is working with that evidence, don't have problems with the person. For example, there is an issue where one evidence is a sahih evidence, and then the other evidence is a hasan evidence. The one who chooses to do hasan, you the one who are using the sahih evidence, you don't have to fight over the person or fight with the person. May Almighty Allah safeguard us. So basically, these are the differences of opinion that the scholars have when it comes to, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, whether it is a verse in Fatiha or not. Now, what are some of the virtues of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim? We as Muslims have been taught that whatever you are going to do, you must invoke the name of the Almighty Allah. Everything. We're going to eat, you're going to drink, you're going to slaughter, you're going to board anything. It got to a point where even in Surah Al-An'am, the Almighty Allah said, فَكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ
فَكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ فَكُلُوا مما ذكر اسم الله عليه إن كنتم بآياته مؤمنين.
You should eat from what the name of the Almighty Allah has been mentioned upon. So even in eating, you mention the name of the Almighty Allah. There is the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he was teaching a young man etiquette of eating. He said, "Ya ghulam, sammillah wa qul bi yaminik wa qul mimma yalik." He said, "Oh boy, when you're going to eat, say Bismillah, and then eat with your right hand, and then eat what is in front of you." Even in the way of eating, Islam teaches us an etiquette. And then there is also another verse that we have in Surah Hud where the Almighty Allah said, وَقَالَ ارْكَبُوا فِيهَا بِسْمِ اللَّهِ
وَقَالَ ارْكَبُوا فِيهَا مَجْرَاهَا وَمُرْسَاهَا
وَقَالَ ارْكَبُوا فِيهَا بِسْمِ اللَّهِ
وقال اركبوا فيها بسم الله مجراها ومرساها إن ربي لغفور رحيم.
This is speaking about Nabi Nuh, Nabi Eli Nuh, when he was going to board the boat. The Almighty Allah say, وَقَالَ ارْكَبُوا فِيهَا بِسْمِ اللَّهِ مَجْرِيهَا وَمُرْسَاهَا. It's moving and it's stopping. That was the shift stick of Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam on the boat. If he wants the boat to stop, he says Bismillah. If he wants the boat to move, he says Bismillah. If he wants the boat to turn on the right side, he says Bismillah. If he wants the boat to turn left side, he says Bismillah. But today, if you are driving, don't do that. You put on the traffic indicator and then you turn the steering wheel. Don't say because Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, if he says Bismillah, the boat turns. So you also driving, you say Bismillah and then the car will turn right. No, you are not Nabi Eli Nuh. But then what it means is that even in driving, you can use that, your adhkar. You're turning left, Bismillah. You're turning right, Bismillah. You got your stop sign, you stop, Bismillah. This is something that keeps your tongue always conversant with the mention of the name of the Almighty Allah. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said in a hadith that Imam Ahmad and Imam Bukhari narrates from the hadith of Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Aghliq babak wadhkur ismallah." Even in closing your door of your house, you close the door, you say Bismillah. He said, "Atfi misbahaka وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ اللَّهِ. Even in switching off your light at night, you're going to sleep, you switch it off, you say Bismillah. وَخَمِّرْ إِنَاءَكَ وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ اللَّهِ. Even in covering your bows and your cutlery, in covering them up, cover them up and say Bismillah. وَأَوْقِ سِقَاءَكَ وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ اللَّهِ. Even in closing your water bottle or whatever, say Bismillah. One of, this is a little bit sensitive, I'm going to say it. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith of Ahmad and Bukhari at the same time, where he said, لو أن أحدكم إذا أراد أن يأتي أهله قال بسم الله اللهم جنبنا الشيطان وجنب الشيطان مما رزقتنا فإنه إن يقدر بينهما ولد في ذلك لم يضره الشيطان أبدا. Even in having sexual intimacy with our spouses, you say Bismillah. Someone will say, hey, Sheikh, at that point, yes. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if one of you has had the intention of going next to his spouse, and he says, Bismillah, we begin in the name of Allah, Allahumma jannibna shaitan, oh Allah, distance us from shaitan. وَجَنِّبِ الشَّيْطَانِ مِمَّا رَزَقْتَنَا. And then distance shaitan from whatever provision you're going to give us. فَإِنَّهُ إِن يُقَدَّرْ بَيْنَهُمَا وَلَدْ فِي ذَلِكَ. If at that point the Almighty Allah has willed that the woman is going to take seed, لَمْ يَضُرُّهُ شَيْطَانُ أَبَدًا. No shaitan will get closer to him. Even in our intimacy, Islam teaches us to what? To say Bismillah, to remember the name of the Almighty Allah in everything. If we have this as a part and parcel of our lives, I don't think we'll deliberately commit a sin. Because all the time you have Bismillah Rahman Rahim going on your mouth. And there's the hadith where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught the boy, to say Bismillah Rahman Rahim when he was going to eat. Inna shaytana la yastahillu at-ta'ama alla yudhkaru isma Allahi alayhi. If you're going to eat and then you don't say Bismillah Rahman Rahim, you've invited shaitan to have dinner with you. Let's not take chances with this.
1759.
I didn't ask you to say anything. Let's not take chances with that. Wallahi. It's very, very important. Sometimes we have issues in our life that we don't understand. We think about them and then there are no solutions. It's because we don't have dhikr in our lives all the time. We forget to engage the Almighty Allah in our day-to-day activities. Man lam yadhbah falyadhbah bismillah. There is the hadith of Jundub ibn Sufyan al-Bajali that Imam Ahmad and Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim narrate, where he said, Man lam yadhbah. Anybody who has not yet slaughtered, that is concerning Eid, if he is going to slaughter, let him slaughter in the name of Allah. Uthman ibn Abil As, the hadith that we mentioned yesterday, he came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Ya Rasulullah, I feel some pain in my body. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ضع يدك على الذي يعلم. Put your hand where you feel the pain. وقل بسم الله ثلاثا. Say Bismillah 3 times. وَقُلْ سَبْعَ مَرَّاتٍ. And then say 7 times, أَعُوذُ بِعِزَّةِ اللَّهِ وَقُدْرَتِهِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا أَجِدُ وَأُحَاذِرُ. That I seek refuge of the Almighty Allah and His power from the evil of what I feel in the pain and then what I am scared of. So my brothers and sisters, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim has a lot of virtues. Now let's go into the meaning of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We've seen the virtues. Now let's see, when you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, what are you saying? When you say Bismi, which is I begin with the name. Al-Ismu here means name in Arabic language. So Bismi, the scholars of Nahu are saying there is a taqdeer, or there is this, graduation of Abda'u Bismillah. I begin in the name of Allah. So when you're going to read the Quran and you say Bismillah, meaning I begin reading the Quran in the name of Allah. If you're going to eat, you say Bismillah, I begin eating in the name of Allah. If you're going to, whatever you're going to do, when you say Bismillah, meaning I begin in the name of the Almighty. Allah, the word Allah is a very unique and a particular word for the Almighty in the Arabic language. But we Muslims, irrespective of the language that we speak, we prefer to use Allah. The word God depicts God in the English language. It is true. But then the word God in the English language can be manipulated. When you give it a small g, it becomes what? A lesser God. If you suffix it with father, it becomes what? God Father. And then God Mother. And then God Son. If you add an S to it, you have gods. If you add DSS, it becomes what? Goddess, a female one. But then with the word Allah, there's no Allah. There's nothing like that. There's no Allahani or Allahuna. There's nothing like that. It is a very unique word that we encourage, the use of it. Even though we are not saying that, using the word God in the English language or in your local language is wrong or is shirk. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm trying to say is I'm proving to us that the word Allah is unique. Is unique. And nobody has, that name. Nobody deserves it. And the name Allah, when it is invoked, depending on the times and the situations, has, some reaction to it. For example, if we go to Surah Al-Anfal, the second verse, the Almighty Allah said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ Al-Anfal.
إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون.
شكرا. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله. Verily, the believers are the ones إذا ذكر الله. When the name Allah is mentioned, wajilat qulubuhum, their hearts begin to tremble. If they're doing something wrong and the name Allah is mentioned, they feel something in their heart. It's a very powerful name. When you're doing something and someone says, Billahi alayk, for the sake of the Almighty Allah, you realize that no, you feel something, true or false. If you don't feel anything, then we need to have an upgrade of your iman. In other circumstances, when the name of the Almighty Allah is mentioned, it also emits another feeling. We go to Surah Al-Ra'd, verse 28. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ
الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ.
الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, those who believe in the Almighty Allah, وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, and then their hearts get respite. Their hearts get tranquility. Bidhikrillah. Anytime the name of Allah is mentioned. Sometimes when the name of Allah is mentioned, you feel that in your heart. You feel the mercy of the Almighty Allah. You feel the blessings of the Almighty Allah. You feel that the Almighty Allah gives you that respite. And then the Almighty Allah says, Allah. Isn't it true that the remembrance of Allah, that hearts get their respite? If you want to have peace of mind, forget music. Wallahi, listen to the Quran. Listen to the word of the Almighty Allah. Do dhikr. If your heart doesn't, react to the Quran, train it. If your heart reacts to music, then there's a problem. Sometime back home, some people, I don't know, they said, subhanallah. It's a very dangerous statement. It's funny at the same time, but it's a lesson. You know, those people who listen to reggae, our fathers here know reggae. You Americans, you're only interested in hip hop and dancehall and blues, rhythm and blues and country music. Reggae music, you know, you heard of Bob Marley. Yes. Some people said Bob Marley was a prophet.
Subhanallah.
We asked them why. They said, don't you hear the message that is in his music? If you're listening to his music, his lyrics, you know, he speaks the truth. He speaks this. And I say, you people, you are crazy. So people have become so addicted to music that these musicians have become demigods for them. Some of us are young here, but the older folks know that Michael Jackson, when he's alive, anytime he has concerts, people faint. I saw a video, he just came onto a stage and the lady was like, and that's it, she fainted. He just came onto stage. How mesmerizing is the Quran to our hearts? It's a question we need to ask ourselves. How mesmerizing is the name of Allah mentioned to us? Anytime the name of the Almighty Allah is mentioned, or we have peace and tranquility and respect. Some people say, if I don't listen to rhythm and blues, I can't sleep. Some Muslims, you know, they only listen to the Quran on Fridays. They listen to, and that's it. They don't listen to the Quran next Friday. But then in their cars, they have all these, musicians, all these R. Kellys and then Michael Bolton, and then, they have all these Mariah Carey and, all these rappers, the Jay-Z's and then, the Lil Waynes and stuff. Wallah, you are killing your soul. That's what you're doing technically. You're killing your soul. Ala bidhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. It is through the remembrance of Allah that our hearts get respite. So that's the name Allah. Then the Almighty Allah describes Himself with two words. Ar-Rahmanu, Ar-Rahim. These two words, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, we can spend the next hour speaking about Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. But then, just to cut it short, Ar-Rahman, in the Arabic language, it means, excessive mercy. Mubalaghatun fi rahma. Excessive mercy. Extremism in mercy, if that's the right word to use. Extremism in mercy, where the Almighty Allah is extra merciful. فَهُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. He is the merciful or the owner of mercy for the dunya and the akhirah. أي أن الرحمن عمت رحمته الكائنات كلها في الدنيا سواء في ذلك الطاعة وغير طاعة. Whether you obey the Almighty Allah or you disobey Him, in this dunya He is Ar-Rahman. He gives everybody. So sometimes at the workplace, you are a Muslim, but your boss is a kafir. Ar-Rahman. That is where the Almighty Allah is working. At the workplace, you are with someone, you were there before he came to the workplace, but he is now being promoted, you are not being promoted, and it's not because of any evil machination against you. Ar-Rahman. The Almighty Allah is Ar-Rahman for everybody. Now that it is raining, did it rain in only the house of Muslims? It didn't rain in the house of the non-Muslims? No. It rained in everybody's house. That is Ar-Rahman. When the sun rises, does it rise on only the house of Muslims and then he leaves non-Muslims? No. It rises in the house of everybody. That is Ar-Rahman. In this dunya, the Almighty Allah gives everybody. When we go out to go and hustle, every morning, the Almighty Allah gives everybody. So understand this. Don't have anything bad in your heart or in your thoughts, in your mind, that why is it that my co-worker or my neighbor is a non-Muslim, but he makes more money than me. Don't question Allah in that business. I hope you get it. And then you are a Muslim, I think we had this class in some of our Saturday classes, and you are Muslim, sometimes the Almighty Allah deprives you, in quotes, deprives you of a mercy or a ni'mah. That deprivation itself is a mercy for you. Sometimes that $1 million that you are looking for, if you get it, you stop coming to the masjid.
Right.
So the Almighty Allah will not give you. You give you 100,000 to manage. Sometimes. And then there's a qissa where Musa alayhi salatu wassalam was going to meet the Almighty Allah. And then by the riverside, he met two people. One was a Muslim and the other was not a Muslim. The Muslim would say Bismillah and then throw his net into the river. He won't catch any fish. This guy, the non-Muslim, he will mention the name of his God and then he will throw the net and then he will catch fish. And Musa was like, how is this possible? This Muslim, he tried one more time. Bismillah, he threw the net and the net caught a fish. He pulled the net out. He was trying to, pull the fish out of the net, and the fish slipped out of his hand and went back into the water. And then Musa, when he met Allah, he said, Ya Allah, why is it so? This guy who is a Muslim saying Bismillah, you didn't give him the fish. This guy who is not a Muslim, you give him fish. Why? And Almighty Allah said, Musa, you see that guy who have been giving him the fish? I don't want to hear his voice. That is why I'm giving him the fish, so that he doesn't call me. But this guy who is calling me, I don't give him the fish. I want him to continue calling me. That is why I'm not giving him the fish. But Musa, tell him, if he wants, I, the Almighty Allah, I'm going to send all his fish for him in this dunya. He's going to eat it. Or if he also wants, you should be patient. I have a storage of fish for him in Jannah. You should come and eat it.
Allah Akbar.
When Musa came, he told them what happened. And then the Muslim told Musa, he said, Musa, hey, when you go back, tell Allah that fish, even the head, I don't want it here in the dunya.
Allah
You should pack everything for me in the akhirah.
Allah Akbar.
So Allah is Ar-Rahman in the dunya. He gives to everybody. One day, Musa was passing by another, non-Muslim who was calling his idol, Ya Sanamu Ishfini, Ya Sanamu Urzukni, oh idol, give me this, oh idol, give me this. And then his tongue made a mistake. Instead of saying Ya Sanam, he said Ya Samad. And Samad is also a name of the Almighty Allah. When he said Ya Samadu Ishfini, the Almighty Allah said Labbaika Ya Abdi. Yes, my servant, what do you want? And Musa said, Ya Allah, this guy was mentioning his idol, Sanam, Sanam, Sanam. He only made a mistake and then he called you. Why are you answering him? He didn't want to call you. And the Almighty Allah said, Ya Musa, this guy has been calling idols, idols, idols. They never responded to him. And then he calls me Allah and I don't respond to him. What's the difference between me and the idols? So he called me, I answered. So Ar-Rahman, the Almighty Allah, is the merciful of everybody. Muslim, non-Muslim. Hey, there are some people who said they are atheists but they are billionaires. The Prophet Muhammad said, لو تزن الدنيا عند الله جناح بعوضة ما سقى فيها كافر ماء قطر قط. If the dunya was worth the wing of a mosquito to Allah, the Almighty Allah will not give any kafir one drop of water to drink. But then the Almighty Allah doesn't care about the dunya. He is Ar-Rahman. If you go through the levels of dunya to seek rizq, the Almighty Allah will give you the rizq. If you sleep as a Muslim and say, me, I'm a Muslim, but you sleep, and then you don't go out to go and hustle, you will not get anything. Let's understand this. This is the sunnah of life. If you want to have a good life, go out there and struggle. So young men that you are here, these are fathers that you see them riding, big cars, having all these, big homes and all these monies. They didn't start today. Some of them have been hustling for 30, 40 years. And so if you see them hold expensive phones or they eat good food, it didn't just come out of the blue. They struggled before they got it. There is a joke that a young man, his father, when the father is going to eat, the mother will come and set the table, you see, meat and everything. And then the boy was like, hey, when will I grow up and also I get this treatment? Hey, when will I grow up to get this treatment? When he got married, he grew up, he got married, and then he woke up in the morning and then he came to the table and there was no food. He was like, where is the food? And then his wife told him, did you put down money? You put down money and then the food comes. So you struggle. You strive with your dua, with your adhkar. You go out there, you go and hustle, and then the money comes. You don't sleep in the masjid and expect money to come. No. One day Umar bin Khattab came into the masjid and then he found a young man in the corner praying. Salah, Salah. The following day, same thing. 3 days. Umar came and said, who is this guy? They said, Amir al-Mu'minin, this young man, his iman level is high. 3 days he's in the masjid, he's not going anywhere. He's just been praying. Umar asked only one question. How does he eat? And they said, Amir al-Mu'minin, he has a brother in the market. He who brings him food from time to time. Umar said his brother is more beneficial to the ummah than him. He took a stick and then he sacked him from the masjid. Go and work. Don't come and waste your time here. Say you are offering salah. I'm not saying salah is a waste of time. But what we are saying is that everything has its what? Its time. And Muslims, young Muslims, let's understand this. If you go through the rudiments of the dunya, the Almighty Allah opens the door of the dunya for you. But if you close your arms, He give you only money, $10 to get burgers. That's it. But to get money to build masjid and help people, no, you won't get that. I think in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 126, the Almighty Allah says, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ اجْعَلْ هَذَا بَلَدًا
وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ اجْعَلْ هَذَا بَلَدًا آمِنًا وَارْزُقْ أَهْلَهُ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ مَنْ آمَنَ مِنْهُم بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ
نعم.
قَالَ وَمَن كَفَرَ فَأُمَتِّعُهُ قَلِيلًا ثُمَّ أَضْطَرُّهُ إِلَى عَذَابِ النَّارِ وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ.
Ibrahim, when he was praying for Makkah, he said, Ya Allah, bless this nation. Make this nation a peaceful nation. And then bless the family or everybody here with food and security. Those who believe in Allah and the last day. That's what Ibrahim said. And Almighty Allah said, وَمَنْ كَفَرَ, even the one who doesn't believe, فَوَمَتِّهُ قَلِيلٌ, I Allah, I'll give him something small in the dunya. ثُمَّ أَضْطَرُّهُ إِلَىٰ عَذَابِ النَّارِ. If he doesn't believe in me in this dunya, in the akhirah, I'll kick his head into Jahannam. وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ, and that is a very bad abode. So, if the Almighty Allah is blessing a non-Muslim in the dunya, and you, the Muslim, you are going through hard times, it doesn't mean that the Almighty Allah hates you. We have a whole lecture on that, and inshallah, maybe another time we'll speak more about that. So this is Ar-Rahman. The Almighty Allah is for everybody. But Ar-Rahim is only for the believers on the day of Qiyamah. That is why he says, I think in Surah Al-Ahzab, وَكَانَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَحِيمًا.
هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور.
نعم.
وكان بالمؤمنين رحيما.
He, the Almighty Allah, is for the believers Rahima. This is a specific form of what? Form of Rahmah, form of mercy for the believers. It happens in the dunya and the akhirah. In the dunya, the mercy that the Almighty Allah gives the Muslim is that He gives you a sense of peace of mind and tranquility. Have you ever heard of any Muslim man who has committed suicide? Billionaire who has committed suicide? Do you hear of Muslim billionaires committing suicide? No. But then the non-Muslims, you hear this guy is in Hollywood, he's making billions, he's killed himself. This lady, she's done this. With all the money that they have, with all the dawla that they have, because there's no spiritual discipline in their lives, they are always empty. But then for us Muslims, Islam, the Almighty Allah has regulated us. So we have this peace of mind, this tranquility. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you don't have enough money in your pocket, but you don't care. You come to the masjid, you pray. You are okay, fine. Whatever food you get to eat, you eat. Let's go. You don't have any problem. Then all of a sudden, the money comes. And then you do whatever you want to do with it. That is how the Muslim world lives. And this is a part of the mercy of the Almighty Allah. Added to that is that we come to the Qiyamah, and then the Almighty Allah will give us this special mercy of entering Jannah. If you observe these two names, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, they are qualities of the Almighty Allah, attributes of the Almighty Allah. And these are ways through which we can invoke the Almighty Allah. Shaykhana, if you go to, I think, Surah وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى, Surah Al-A'raf, verse 180.
ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها وذروا الذين يلحدون في أسمائه سيجزون
ما كانوا يعملون.
سيجزون ما كانوا يعملون.
The Almighty Allah has attributes. Our time is almost up, but let's deal with this. The Almighty Allah has attributes. The Prophet Muhammad said, Inna lillahi tis'atan wa tis'ina isman. The Almighty Allah has 99 names. Man ahsaha dakhal al-jannah. Anybody who is able to, protect them, use them, he enters Jannah. So anytime in the Quran you hear, Inna Allah sami'un basir, Inna Allah shadidul iqab, the 99 names that we have of Allah, these are ways through which you can invoke the power of the Almighty Allah in your dua. So the Almighty Allah says, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. Verily the Almighty Allah has beautiful names. فَدْعُوهُ بِهَا. Call Allah using those names. وَذَرُوا الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ. Forget about those who are always inquisiting about the names of the Almighty Allah, who are changing names, who are calling the names of jinns, Zagazagaya ilu, Habakataya ilu, Haukaya ilu, Aham Musakaku Khala Abasu. You are surprised. We know all these things. These are names of jinn. And then they will tell you that no, these are powerful names of Allah. If you hear Haukaya ilu, you know the meaning of Hauka in Hausa? It means you are mad. Haukaya ilu. You go and mention Haukaya ilu. The jinn will slap you and then you go mad. So forget about all those names. These are names of spirits that people, there is a book that they call Dua Fawzul Azim that they use back home in Africa. These Marabu people. Yasin, after reading Yasin, there is a dua. Ya habakata ya ilu, ya aroka ya ilu, ya. They will read all these names. All you see, it's not anything that you see in Arabic and then you think it is the Quran. Be very careful about that. Because sometimes we Muslims, we want to get closer to the Almighty Allah, so we want to go and get special dua. In going to look for special dua, that is when they give you the names of jinns. Forget about those special duas. Speak to Allah in the language that you understand. If you need to do dhikr, you have subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. Because these people, they play on our gullibility, they know you do subhanallah all the time. So if they give you subhanallah, you bring the money. So they will find ways and means to turn the thing. Aham musakaku khala abasu. And then they will do all kinds of things. Wallahi, a couple of days ago, a brother came to the office with a paper that he found, in his house, where they've done all these, all these writings. And he wants to know what is it. We told him, this thing, it can lead you to Jahannam if you are not careful. So, if you want to seek the help of a sheikh, seek the help that he prays for you. But he's going to give you something to write at night, or you go to the cemetery at 12 a.m. to go and bury something, or you go to the sea at night, you go and bath in the sea and come back at 12 a.m., or he gives you something. If you're going to do, you rub here. No. My brothers and sisters, forget about it. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is very, very, very potent. And please, let's make good use of it in everything that we do. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And every other dhikr that Islam teaches us. Wallahi, let's make good use of it. Let's forget about all these incantations and all these psychic people and all these, soothsayers, people who say they know the future. You see, sometimes I don't understand people. You find a politician. He says he wants to win the elections. And then he goes into a village where someone is living in a dilapidated home. And this dilapidated person is going to give him victory. If he has a victory, why does he become the president of the country and you, the politician, you serve him, if he has any power? Don't waste your time on that. Don't waste your time. And even here in America, we have people like that. The fact that I'm using, back home as an example doesn't mean there are people like that here. Here, you are very smart, so you call it white magic. You call it white magic. Or you have a very fancy name for it. They say psychic. I went to New York downtown and I said, psychic so. So I said, psychic. I checked the meaning on Google. I said, oh, okay. That's what they mean. These are soothsayers. These are the same people we have back home in Africa that they say they know the future. They read, your palm. They read your cup of coffee. No, forget about all those things. Stand firmly with Almighty Allah. And Almighty Allah will take you places. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum. We take a couple of questions. If not, we call it a day. No question? Allahu Akbar. Can you stop the recording? Yes?
Let me have it. Let you have a question.
Okay.